Do you ever feel like the guy in the picture when you're dealing with difficult people? Does that how they make you feel? Do you sometimes feel like you're jumping through hoops and you're trying to accommodate and you just don't seem to be able to do the right thing? Well, maybe it's not so much that they're difficult people as they're different from us. And there's no question that people are different and that we have to take this into consideration in our dealings. Most of the complaints we get with regards to difficult people come from work. It's a situation where we don't really have much choice. We have to work with the people that we work with and get along with everybody because team player is a big characteristic that all employers are looking for. But sometimes it's just a real challenge to try to understand how to deal with these people. Hi, my name is Ann Mossop, and I'm an employment specialist at the Downsview location of Next Steps. And we're right on the subway line in between Shepherd West and the Downsview Park subway. So today we have a little bit of an introduction and warm up. And we're going to talk, I'm going to ask you to think of specific examples. Who is your difficult person? Who is your different person? Is it somebody that you work with? But think of somebody in particular, because then we can sort of narrow it down to a particular individual. Describe the behaviors. What does it look like? How do they act? And more importantly, how does it make you feel? Do you feel disrespected? Do you feel embarrassed? Do you feel left out? What are some of the feelings that you have? There are different types, so we'll kind of look at the stereotypes of difficult people and some strategies to deal with these people and to sort of understand where they're coming from. But the most important message, I think, in all my years of working is that you manage others by managing yourself. And sometimes we lose sight of that. We can be pushed and pushed and pushed. And sometimes it just gets to a point where we're just always in reaction mode. So we've got to stop and manage our own behavior. And by managing our own behavior, then we can manage others or come to a conclusion to agree to disagree at least. So who is your difficult person? How do they make you feel? Do you feel manipulated? Do you feel singled out? Do you feel like you're a target in the workplace sometimes? Who is that difficult people, or who are these difficult people, and what are their behaviors? How does it make you feel? It's the feelings. A lot of times in organizations, we count on our companies to protect us in some ways, but there's a lot of stuff that, there is no protection other than managing ourselves. Leaders and organizations can become toxic when they don't deal with the tough issues. And the heavy lifting, it's definitely when people don't get along, it's a heavy lifting issue. So one of the things we really need to look at is what are our triggers or signals. So the faces at the bottom do kind of show a variety of emotions because everybody reacts differently. You could be afraid. You could be just stunned and you have a smile on your face, immobile. You could cry after an incident. You could get angry. You could be shocked. You could think, maybe I'm going crazy here. Like this, I don't understand this. So feel thankful for those kinds of triggers, those kinds of emotions. It signals that one of our needs or one of our values is somehow being threatened. You feel disrespected. Just like a twinge of pain can shoot down your leg and it's telling you that, something's misplaced or you've got a disc out. Strong emotions are there for a purpose too. And they're there to tell us that something is important and that we need to stop and we need to reflect because it's something that's important to us. It's not only us in this situation, but it's the other individual. So maybe we can halt and stop our reactions by recognizing what our signals are. Do you have a panic attack, short of breath? You get flushed, you start shaking, you feel threatened. These are all emotions that we have to listen to. So they talk a lot about toxic people. Um, Difficult people, they may not necessarily be toxic, or sometimes some of the behavior gets carried away to the point where it does become toxic. So, nobody would have all of these. That would be a narcissist. But there may be elements of this, and that's a whole other thing. And these are some common um, behaviors. So let's take a look. Hypocritical, can't take criticism of any kind, never admits to being wrong, plays mind games, extremely manipulative, always has to win, um, self-serving and selfish, tendency to lie, loves drama, makes majors in minor things, blows things up way out of proportion, can't be trusted, expects blind loyalty but is not loyal, twists everything you say to benefit them, will not take no for an answer, lacks healthy boundaries, is punitive when they don't get their way, um, stonewalls you or gives you the silent treatment. This is one that is very common, and it is a form of bullying and harassment. Expects favorable treatment, feels entitled, envious and jealous. This one I hear a lot from clients, that other people are jealous of a particular talent or a relationship. And I mean, you see it even just in the workplace. Um, some people become the target because people are jealous of them. They can be neglectful and uses finances to manipulate. So there's a warning to parents about, um, I won't leave you any money in the well if you don't do what I want. Or, just trying not to use finances to manipulate. I have kids though, and you just hope that they want to be with you. Um, there comes a point when you sort of have to let go. It's not an act of cruelty, it's an act of self-care. So you have to figure out to what extent you can deal with this and improve it. And then, if there comes a point, you just do the best you can. But I've got some really good tips. You have to protect your own spirit from contamination. Limit your time with negative people. You can still be professional and cordial, and not be one of the in crowd, but still be caring and concerning. You just want to limit the time that you're around those people that you find negative. So kind of what is the symptom in the environment? What is really behind it overall? What do you think is the symptom? The problem specifically? Like, the symptoms are kind of how it shows itself. The problem is really what is the root cause that those are symptoms of? What are some possible solutions? Can we check in on progress? Do we evaluate our team even? It's a good team exercise. And then do we celebrate when we've resolved an issue or we've resolved a conflict within the work environment? It definitely is something to celebrate. I always say a different time, a different place. Throughout my career, you meet people and it's like you don't get along. And then the next time you meet them, you do. It's like time and circumstances. There's so many things at play in anyone's career that we really don't know. The dynamics can change. People learn. We do learn as we progress. So these are the usual suspects. The know-it-all. And a lot of times they do know a lot of stuff. You just have to make sure that if you're going to go up against them, that you're prepared. The passives, these are kind of people, I call them Teflon people. They don't get involved in anything. They don't contribute anything. They've shut down for some reason. They don't want to get involved. So, there's a whole lot of reasons why. The dictators, these are the self-appointed leaders that are sort of dictating to everyone what needs to get done. And we need people that have that leadership on our teams too. But sometimes I think when it says dictator, it means it's kind of carried too far. And that could be a reason why people are passives in the environment too. So all kinds of symptoms, all kinds of different stereotypes show up. The yes people, they say yes to everything, but again, they're like the passives, nothing really sticks. There's no real commitment there. The no people, we used to do it better 20 years ago, and this is no good, and like change isn't embraced. Maybe they push back at first or resist it and then eventually accept. But these are types that we have to deal with. The gripers, the complainers, the whiners, generally speaking, the motivation that's coming behind that is perhaps there is a problem. They're looking, she's getting ready to point the finger at somebody, to blame somebody else. So all different behaviors, all different motivations. Sometimes what we see isn't always what we get as far as having a little bit of knowledge about human nature. I love this video. I'll recommend it to you. I'm not going to show it today. 3 ways to deal with difficult people. He has come up with an acronym HUG. It stands for hear, come up with an uncommon response or an uncommon reaction, and guide. So when you're dealing with that difficult person, I just love that HUG. Hear, uncommon, guide. Learn about his method, and it's very elegant, very smooth, and I think very effective. I know myself. The know-it-all and the dictator, they kind of have similar symptoms. They are frequently right, but they make other people feel inept and confused. Coworkers would tend to back off, maybe become less productive because the know-it-all is making them feel bad, or the dictator. They find it difficult to listen to plans or suggestions of other people. Hard to persuade if their plans are headed for disaster. They're going to go over Niagara Falls if it kills them. So they usually blame others, even if they themselves caused the problem. So, when you're dealing with those types of people, research and know what you're talking about. They do have a level of expertise, and meet them on an equal footing. Listen to them and let them know that you understand what was said. Paraphrase back important points of what they said. Question, but don't confront. Present alternatives as, as detours. Don't become a counter expert. Make time for reflection on the interaction, and take advantage of their expertise. You need to get buy-in from people. So sometimes talking about things and adjusting our communication to that person can really help in the environment if we're meeting their needs and our own. Whiners, gripers, complainers, little bit different. Whiners, they're constantly fault finding. They may whine to you about other people. Excuse me. They may whine about other people to you, and that's why I'm thinking if they're doing this to whining to me about others, then they're whining about me to other people. They feel sort of powerless, stuck in a rut, usually pessimistic in their approach to pretty much everything. They're a little bit different with complainers and gripers. There may be some truth to what they're saying. There's some kind of underlying complaint, some unspoken blame because someone isn't taking care of a problem. That's where it's coming from, wherever it is. They have a strong sense of how things should be done. Make complainers feel good about how good they are as a counter defense. And shift responsibility. They're trying to shift responsibility onto someone else. So maybe shift it onto the person that's complaining. And it's like, well, you seem to really understand the problem. Have you ever thought about really sitting down and coming up with a solution? You're sort of bouncing it back onto them and shifting the responsibility for resolving it. I always say you don't earn the right to complain if you don't have a solution. So make it more of a solution resolving issue. Coping with these whiners, gripers, complainers, listen attentively, acknowledge by paraphrasing back. Do not agree with the whiner, the complainer, or the griper. Avoid the accusation, defense, reaccusation sequence. Stick to the facts and switch to problem solving. There's the grapevine, there's gossip. Oh, did you hear so-and-so got a promotion? No, I would imagine they'll, maybe, you don't want to get into it. I would imagine there's going to be a memo coming out making that announcement soon, or you kind of just want to stay away from gossiping and jumping to conclusions because they're usually wrong. Yeah, this is a massive wall of words, so don't freak out. I'm just going to cover the bulleted points, really. Yes, and passive people. This is very difficult, but not impossible to deal with. I think it is something that a supervisor or manager can address, and a team can help with it too. Something's happened somewhere along the line with these people. You want to make communication safe and to be honest when you're talking to the individual. You want to talk honestly and encourage the person, hear them out. Is there something that is bothering them? Help the person to learn to plan. If motivation's missing, scheduling things and coming up with priorities and really working one-on-one with that person can really help. Ensure commitments. You're going to follow up. Make sure that if they make a promise and they're unable to carry it out, that they must follow through with their commitments to the end. Strengthen the relationship. Just make it, you don't want to deal with broken promises. So sometimes if you can extend things, if it's a problem with a technology that they don't know, it can be very challenging, but it's hurting not only the individual, but the team. So addressing some of those issues is part of coaching. It's part of leadership. It's part of management. Now, these are very interesting and very important, and it's something I go through a lot with newcomers. These are the 4 communication styles. The most appropriate is on my far right, assertive, the green. This is the ideal in our business culture. Any of the other 3 are not really what the ideal is in our environment. So let's take a look at passive and start at the blue end. A lot of times people, for instance, in interviews, you know, an employer will ask, do you have any questions? And they're, oh, no, I don't have any questions. That's being very passive. So it's natural to have questions. It's sort of coming across as a supplicant, somebody who's serving, but not serving in a good way. It's emotionally dishonest. It's indirect. It's inhibited. It's like a rabbit, a scared person. You know, I'm afraid to speak. Self-denying, blaming, apologetic. So it's making others' rights take precedence over mine. And this is not ideal. That's, if you are passive, that is an I lose and the other person wins. We want to create win-win solutions. And that's why the ultimate is an assertive person. We're trying to create win-win solutions. We're not trying to win the battle, win the war, win the fight. We're just trying to come to a consensus and demonstrate assertive communication. Next to passive, a lot of times passive people can become passive aggressive, or it's kind of an odd combination of both passive and aggressive. If somebody is denying their own rights, they may end up feeling getting angry and frustrated over time simply because of their own behavior and reaction to situations. And then it can happen that all of a sudden they take it, and then all of a sudden they just explode and get really angry, flare up a temper. So that passive aggressive is, again, emotionally dishonest, self-denying at first, self-enhancing at the expense of others later. I subtly make clear that my rights and needs prevail. But again, if you're a passive aggressive person, then it's I win, you lose. So not the greatest impression to create amongst other people. Aggressive people, it's pretty evident, inappropriately honest, direct, expressive, attacking, blaming, controlling, self-enhancing at the expense of others. I boldly insist that my rights and needs prevail. And again, it's, if you're an aggressive person, I win, you lose. So the assertive person is appropriately honest, direct, self-enhancing, expressive, self-confident, empathetic to the emotions of all involved. And at the bottom, I clearly express that we both have rights and needs. And I don't get into any of the other styles. I express my perspective appropriately. And because sometimes these behaviors can be present and create some of those other stereotypes that we were talking about. This is relevant. This is a great website, Mind Tools. It's in the upper left-hand corner. All kinds of assessments for different skills. This one is how to manage passive-aggressive people. And we all need management tools to and brush-ups on how to deal with people effectively. I think it's a lifelong learning experience, the whole thing. We never really perfect it. So This is a wonderful website if you're looking for assessments and tools that you want to even maybe find out which communication style you are. Also on this website, Psychology Today, none of these links are active, but you can write down the name of the organization and what you're looking for. This one is an assertiveness test. Takes 10 minutes. You can find out, I believe there is, you get like a snapshot report, and that's sort of free of charge. If you want the super deluxe option, you have to pay for it, but just go for the little evaluation in the graph. It'll probably tell you what you are, where you line up as far as your own communication style. And that can help us to sort of be on the alert and watch our own behaviors. We can only manage our behavior. We can't manage other people's behavior, right? This is another great website that I strongly recommend. It's called 16personalities.com. It provides you with a 4-letter code, Myers-Briggs type of assortment of the 16 personalities, the 16 known personality types. Personality types is the broader picture. I also wanted to just quickly take a look at that broader picture, which is temperament. And we have to realize that sometimes there comes a point in time that we're never going to be good enough for certain people. It's their problem, it's not ours, and we just have to cope with it the best we can. So temperament and personality type, this is really important, and this really shocks a lot of people. Behavior isn't random. We choose our behavior, though some are more self-aware than others. And when you get into that triggered signal, sometimes we can't stop and we just react, but we need to stop in that moment and take care of ourselves. The reason why these things happen is because as human beings, we're all trying to get our needs met. And if your intention is to strive to be a better person, then learning this kind of stuff can be a really golden opportunity. How to deal with difficult people or deal with people at work that you don't like. This is a great little quick video. This is great for youth and millennials. She's a very savvy young lady, and yeah, she's got some great tips on how to deal with it. Back to personality types, as I mentioned. When we step back, the greater 16 sort into temperament. And what that means is, and I'm using colors, I'm using personality dimensions. What that means is these are the 4 temperaments. These are personality types that share certain characteristics. So when we look at the colors, each color, green has 4 shades of green. Blue has 4 shades of blue. Gold, 4. Organized orange, or resourceful orange, sorry. Organized gold. Resourceful orange, 4. So there's 4 shades of each color within that greater as we step back and we look at temperament. This is what temperament is called, and that's what personality dimensions is all about. But it's very helpful information. The point is, we aren't all the same. We don't all have the same values. So instead of going through 16, I'm just pulling back a little bit and giving you a little bit of information about the 4 temperaments, and you'll be able to see how different each temperament is, what they value. Their core values, their core needs are very different from each other. And then when you think in terms of there's 4 different shades of each color on top of that, it really indicates how you know, everybody's different. Everybody's coming from a different place, and we have to really, you know, understand that everyone isn't like you. Other people are coming from different places. And if we can understand that a little bit better, we can adjust our communication appropriately. So those 4 letters transfer over. It is science, and they do transfer over. Those are the colors, and those are the 4 different shades. Those make up the 16 personality types. So the colors are temperament. The 4 shades are personality type. Interesting stuff, and really great to learn about ourselves. So a green, for instance, we're going to start with green. Their core needs are knowledge and competence. The worst thing that you can do is to accuse a green of being incompetent. They're just wired a little bit differently. When we take a look at the picture, we see an owl with wisdom. We see halls of justice. We see plans. We see gears. We see the brain, knowledge, thinking, the stars, looking out beyond. She has a magnifying glass and sort of epitomizes a fictional character. Sherlock Holmes would be an inquiring green, for sure. Their behavior, they are perfectionists. They are high achievers. They use very clear and direct language. They're perpetual students. They're always learning. They dislike redundancies. They love debating, and it can appear to be argumentative. It's just that they can argue both sides of an argument at the same time. I mean, they just love debating. They're quick-witted and clever. They use a lot of puns and sort of, you know, indirect humor or clever witticisms and things. They tend to escalate standards, and sometimes that can cause pushback from other people because they are perfectionists, because they are high achievers. And they're the architects of change. They're very visionary, very future oriented in their what's the word I'm looking for? In their relationship to time. They're sort of always thinking ahead. Golds are their core needs: belonging, duty, responsibility. Well, that's totally different from green. The picture tells it. Family, dog, loyalty, time is money. There's a safe there, security, the balancing scales, filing, making lists. He looks like he's sort of the stock market guy or whatever. Organized goals are usually in our office, it would be our front desk. It doesn't have to necessarily be that, but the person I'm thinking of, yeah, definitely an organized goal. Their behaviors, their practice and drill. They're responsible and loyal. They're dependable and punctual, parental and serving. That's the person that's buying the lottery tickets and, you know, circulating the birthday cards. And yeah, that's who's doing those types of things. They like sequential structure. They keep to a schedule. They make lists and use them. They enjoy and seek closure. So like sequential structure, they like to finish things right to the end, to the completion. Careful and meticulous. They can get into trouble with phrases that they use, you should or you shouldn't do this. They can be very black or white. Not really. They follow the rules. There's not really shades of gray. It's just a characteristic. The oranges, you can tell by the picture: adventure, performance, air balloon, on the go, Looks like somebody's there for The Amazing Race, a racing car driver, soccer, action oriented. There's even a tool there. So they're really kind of task oriented. And we've got a helicopter, a rescue helicopter flying in there. So a very unique personality and tendency to line up with certain occupations. There's only one thing an orange needs. And yeah, it's being aware of this can be really helpful. Their core need is freedom. They don't want to be told what to do. Now, in a lot of the occupations, it requires intensive training that has to be followed step by step. But they want the freedom to make choices and to make decisions about how they approach problems or how they approach their work. Sorry. The behaviors, they are risk takers and adventurous. They're spontaneous and impulsive, really fraternal, brotherly, broship kind of, police officers, firefighters, because they count on each other. They're risking their life. So there's a really close bond. They take action over words. They dislike routine. They welcome and seek change. They can be very competitive. They can be very impatient with semantics. Sometimes a green personality is, using analogies and metaphors and highbrow vocabulary, and the orange doesn't like that kind of stuff. Blue, our final and fourth. Again, looking at the picture, we've got performance, we have comedy and tragedy, we have meditation, we have a father and son, we see music notes, we see a paintbrush. Authentic blues, again, their core need is very, very simple. It's relationships. And their behaviors, they're very sensitive to conflict. Now, when I say sensitive to conflict, it's everybody can be sensitive to conflict, although sometimes conflict can be good. However, that being said, these people are, the NTs, the greens that are like debating, these people can easily interpret it as conflict, and that's not where it's coming from at all. So they are very, very sensitive to conflict, and you have to be mindful of that. They're good mediators and problem solvers. They have great people skills. They're very charismatic and seductive. Metamorphic. They're always seeking to improve themselves, and personally and professionally. Metamorphic. So metamorphic is kind of like a butterfly in stages. They're moving through stages in life. That's how they see life. Emotional and sympathetic. They need praise and recognition. They're very much into self-improvement, cause-oriented, advocating and working for the underdog. In a lot of cases, a blue would be attracted to counseling or what am I thinking of? Massage therapy, those types of things. It's not sort of test and tell. I'm not telling you what you are. I'm letting you know that this assessment is available. I'm hoping to run it on our next month's calendar. What do we want? Everybody wants the same things. Human beings strive for self-esteem, but we seek it in different ways. We have different values, wants, aims, needs, motives, desires, and preferences. And these are important because this is the most basic and fundamental difference in human beings. A lot of times I'll hear people, and I'll hear people say, oh, that's because it's a gender difference, or that's that's an ethnic difference. And it's like, I'm thinking, no, it's not. It's personality is the most fundamental difference. Everybody in the world has a personality. Everybody in the world sorts into those 16 types and those four natures, those four temperaments. Um, a good way to look at it, temperament is um, there's four trees. They're all called trees, but one is an oak tree, one is a maple, one is a weeping willow, and one is a pine tree. So they're all trees, but they're all so different. So that's how we have to look at it. And then even within that, there are differences within those four natures. We'll call it a nature. These predispositions drive all of our actions and behavior. So temperament isn't an excuse, but it can explain it, and it can really help us to know where it's coming from. David Keirsey, that's listed there, is one of the fathers of a temperamented type from the US, well-known name. We use personality dimensions. And again, keep an eye out on the calendar. I'm hoping to be offering it in the future. So this is another huge wall of words. I'm just going to take a minute. I have to cough, so hang on. Sorry about that. 20 expert tactics for dealing with difficult people. I'm just going to say the first part again because it's a wall of words. The most important thing is first, just quiet yourself and just, sometimes I always think about having a beam of light, white light around me, and I just listen. It makes me feel protected. It's a trick I use. Just listen, stay calm, don't judge, don't jump in, don't react. Hang on a second. Reflect respect and dignity toward the other person. If it's not an ideal time, or if they're sort of showing you some things that you really get you uptight, you could just say, you know what, I'm sorry, so-and-so, you've caught me just at a really bad time. I'm just in the middle of whatever, and I don't say whatever. Can I get back to you in 10 minutes? I'll be right with you. Okay. And then I can give you my full attention and, leave the situation. Look for the hidden need. What is this person really trying to gain? What are they trying to avoid? What are they trying to aggravate or provoke? Look for others around who might be able to help you. Especially if it's an irate customer. And, listen is really listen, hear, come up with something uncommon to say, even not saying, I usually don't say, I understand is on this page. Sometimes it's a good idea to get them to tell me more so I can understand better. Don't demand compliance. You don't want to provoke. Avoid smiling because this may look like you're mocking and you don't want it to backfire. Don't act defensively. This is tough. Remember, you're kind of in hold in that space with their white light around you. Don't return anger with anger. Don't argue or try to convince the other person of anything. So that's the end of the tactics there. And sage advice. This is how to deal with difficult people. I strongly recommend it. Again, these aren't live links. This is Evan Carmichael. If you look in the YouTube search box, Evan Carmichael has great YouTube videos for youth, and he's from Canada. I'm pretty sure he's from Canada, and I really, really admire him. He's got so many wonderful YouTubes out there relevant to everything and job search in particular. So um, he seems to clip together some of the greatest minds and motivational speakers of the day. This is well worth a listen to. This one is not keep your perspective. It's one of the things this guy was talking about, but it was overall how to deal with difficult people. His hashtag believe life. The guys whose website this is Evan Carmichael. Worth a watch, definitely. This is another little one. I think this is more for children dealing with difficult and annoying people. So you can take a look at this. Maybe it's something that your children can watch. And we've taken the full round. Yesterday I was so clever. Yesterday I was clever, so I changed the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. Um, Rumi, I did have to mess that up. Sorry about that. Learning is an exercise in changing the self. I learn that more and more every day that I live. And I also learned this: there is a voice that doesn't use words. It's a voice and an instinct from within. Listen, listen to that inner voice. So, in conclusion, we're going to take a look at okay, what are you going to start doing today? Well, there's some videos that I've mentioned how to deal with difficult people, some great YouTubes. Follow up. Psychology Today, that assertiveness assessment. Um, Mind tools, the all kinds of different assessments for all kinds of different skills. Um, Coming up with some strategies, uh, stopping and staying calm within, envision that light around you, um, listen to that inner voice to stop, somehow see if you can um, come up with a strategy in the moment. If not, try to extricate yourself as gracefully as you can from the situation and then maybe come back. It's almost like saying, I'll come back when you're feeling better. And it gives you more confidence maybe if a little bit of time has passed. What do you need to stop doing? Um, this is tricky. A lot of people are procrastinating. Stop procrastinating. Deal with the hard issues, or stop complaining and come up with a solution if you're dealing with certain people. And I'm sure you're doing some great things. What do you need to continue to do? Especially during this particular time. Have you found some effective ways? Please communicate with me and let me know, and I'll pass it on to some of the other attendees. Wish we could do a Q&A. Unfortunately, we can't, but you can send me your questions through email. My email address is Ann dot Mossop, MOSSOP, at tdsb.on.ca. If you have any questions, please let me know. And thank you. Dankeschön, obrigado, merci, gracias. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please continue to follow. I'm guaranteeing that you'll learn something new every time you listen to us, and hopefully you learn lots of great things and get on the right path. Thanks for coming to today's presentation. We'll see you at the next session. And please don't forget to use your survey. The survey would have been sent out to you when you originally signed up for today's presentation. Take care, good luck, all the best. Bye, everybody.